Hello, it says I'm live. All right, here I am, Laura Fielding, furiously progressive knitter, and I've finally set up. Actually, I've had our Red Berets channel set up for a little bit of time, but I have felt nervous about going live on YouTube. I'm not very tech savvy, so that's been one of my main drawbacks. But let's get started here. This is episode 1, or my little pilot edition. Here I am. I've kind of just rested this on my head because my hair's up. So this is a recently crafted red beret that is being mailed off. Hopefully the person, if they ever see this, will not mind that it went on my head for this episode. Yeah, I kind of don't want to announce who it's for because I want to protect the person's privacy. And this person already ordered a red beret from the whole Washington website. But like I said, they may not want to be public about it, so I will not say. Except that I'm going to mail this beret in addition because I just want to mail this person another one. And this is kind of some yarn that made me think of them. Okay, so a little bit about the red berets for Medicare for All. I started crafting red berets in the fall of 2017. It was about October timeframe. I think the idea had been percolating, but not with any kind of clarity. It's just that, of course, we store things and think of them for a later usage or date. And so, of course, the aerial views from the Women's March with all of the handcrafted, hand-knit, hand-crocheted pussy hats, looking at those aerial views, I'm sure I had some kind of either a subconscious or conscious thought, not too much later down the line, of what if we could have that kind of a show of creative solidarity for National Improved Medicare for All? That would be amazing. So, but that idea didn't kind of gel until it must have been October timeframe of 2017. Excuse me. I'm going to have to cough. Okay. So, October 2017, I was listening to a National Nurses United rally in California on YouTube. It was no longer live, so I can't give you the exact date, except to say that Roseanne DeMoro, Dr. Jane Sanders, and Senator Bernie Sanders were speaking at the rally that I happened to listen to on YouTube. And I had been a Bernie supporter, but not on social media. I was not involved in any way. I voted for Bernie in the primary, but then I just wasn't involved. I wasn't on social media, so I've also never been into corporate media. So I would say that I was very not very aware of everything that was going on. That my educational process really started when the first time that I had heard Bernie speak, which was, of course, before this Nurses United rally that I listened to and loved, kind of cried and thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is like how politics and how we could really be in this country, all along those lines. But anyway, listening to that National Nurses United and Roseanne DeMoro and Jane and Bernie and all of the nurses speak, all of a sudden the idea started gelling or coming to me about, oh my gosh, we just have to, I'm a knitter. Maybe I could bring my knitting skills and creativity towards National Medicare for All. We need to have a march. Let's start. Why aren't we marching for Medicare for All? When are we going to do this? So then I started thinking in my head, what kind of a hat do we need to have? And I thought, I am a veteran. I served 4 years in the U.S. Air Force. My husband is a retired vet. We're both very progressive. We lived over in the UK for about 7.5 years. And I was asked over and over by people that I went to school with in my line of work, which is as a holistic healthcare practitioner. So I went to school with plenty of people who were holistic minded. And they would always ask, how can you serve a country that leaves so many people behind? And so it was a source of, embarrassment and shame, and kind of waking up a little bit then to the fact that we were actively serving in the military industrial complex, while at the same time understanding that I get this great luxury and privilege of learning these holistic therapies from a really unique perspective. And that's a whole other, maybe I could talk a little bit about how that all of that, sort of informed my activism quite a bit, but kind of planted seeds way back when. So, having served over there in the UK, where certainly the system is not perfect, but I can tell you that out of all the people that I went to school with, many of whom had currently or previously worked within the NHS, none of them were saying, you really have a great system going over there in the United States. Why don't you, we wish we could be more like you? No, it was like, wow, how, so many Americans are left behind, and how can you stand this? It's awful, I wasn't awake at all at that point to what other countries had, what we even, we know what we're raised with, right? So anyway, that's a lot of background to kind of say. So at that point, hopefully people can follow my my kind of all over the place train of thought. I decided, as from a veteran's perspective, and also knowing just a little bit about, I thought we need a peace army. We need a peace army because if we can fund endless wars for profit, we can absolutely pass Medicare for all. So a beret is what I chose, and of course inspired by National Nurses United, because it was that rally that I was listening to when this idea started to all kind of come together. And as you'll note from their colors, they have two shades of red. This is really not National Nurses Red, but let's see, what am I knitting right now that is kind of okay. So this is, the light isn't on in here. This is a really, really deep red, and then kind of a truer red in here. And here's another one that's on the needles right now. Oh, I've got my, oh wait, no, that's the same one. Yeah. Okay. Well, here is a Bernie beret that a woman on Twitter with the handle @Kai Mountain Woman. So she sewed this. It's like made of fleece, and she's the one who makes all of the hand-sewn Medicare for All masks that some of you might have been seeing. And I retweet her, and we've worked in collaboration for quite some time. And she actually crafts those and sends them off to Whole Washington. So Whole Washington. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so ahead of myself. And I also think that many of you who first see this video, you will probably have heard all of these things before, so some of it is redundant. But for those people who just have no idea, they've just seen these hats and they're like, okay, red hats, cool. So I have been asked many times, like, why do you want to do red? That's like Republican, or we've got enough things from Trump. And it's like, they're inspired by National Nurses United, which is the largest labor union for single payer, for Medicare for all. I'm going to have some interruption in just a moment. I can hear people coming in. Maybe I will. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do, because I don't want to, I guess I can edit it later, or hush people as they come in the door and have them pass through. Here's another one. This is like, again, I don't have my light on. Oh, and I actually did really strange reductions on this. This is like a faux brioche beret. Makes this neat scrunchy fabric, but the top actually looks a little bit more like crochet because I just had seen it on YouTube and I didn't look at the pattern, so I didn't know how they did the reductions, and I made something funky up. That's the thing. So there are patterns. People always ask, what is the pattern? Because there was a pattern for the pussy hat. And, you know, we do have a website. It needs quite a few updates. I'm not good with tech, so it hasn't been updated in a long time. But it's redberetsmedicareforall.com. And I think I've got that information here up on the YouTube channel. You cannot purchase the berets from that website. I want to just say that straight off the bat. I don't know if at one point we will, but no, it's just a little bit about us, some things that we have done and are doing. We've largely been local, and then my platform has largely been on Twitter. And so if any of you are familiar or know me, it's probably from Twitter, although we did start out on Facebook. But anyway, there is a very basic knit pattern on redberetsmedicareforall.com, and there's also a crochet pattern. But I haven't really wanted to provide that or harp on that very much because there isn't any set pattern. It's a beret or a slouchy beanie, or really the point is crafting in solidarity for National Improved Medicare for All. And I have been supporting and encouraging other grassroots organizers who either are wearing these or are crafting them themselves. I'm a strong believer that we need to support one-payer states and like whole Washington. I am here in Washington State, so there's no real bias. There's not any intention of like I support whole Washington, but not New York health, past New York Health. New York Health. I forget what their bill is or anything, but Scott Desnoyers, I've sent him a beret and his family berets, and I know he's there and he's done a whole lot with New York Health. So we support them. And then there's nurses in California, and I'll forget their on Twitter, but they have ordered some berets. So I want to have that sense of solidarity and communicate to people who are in other states who know how to knit and crochet and sew. Craft for your local efforts and figure that out in whatever way that you want to do. Because I try to show that solidarity on Twitter. If there's, whole Washington is trying to build that state to state solidarity, so that, because I think what you will find, in fact, I'm sure of it, is that when you go to these one payer states efforts, if they've got bills in the legislature, or if you're fortunate enough to be in a state that has the ballot initiative process, which whole Washington does, then we're activists, organizers, people who know we need Medicare for all. And we are very oftentimes working solidly, concurrently with our state level efforts, and also pressuring, asking, pleading, begging, going to town halls, organizing barnstorms for both the Senate and the House bill, primarily the House, because we have only Bernie Sanders in the Senate, who is, well, that's not true, but anyway, we don't have very many real progressives in the Senate. So, and that's so. Anyway, whole Washington, Georgia Davenport, who is the now field director, and then Jen Nye, who is also on the board of whole Washington, along with myself and quite a few others. Jen Nye is doing such amazing work to also get to meetings and help connect us with all of these different state organizations who are also organizing for National Improved Medicare for All. So I don't know, like I see one person, I think, watching this live stream. It's quite easy for me to get a little bit sidetracked, forget where I wanted to go with this. But I think I was really just wanting everybody to have an understanding, to backtrack a little bit to that fall. So I started knitting. I knit a few and started taking pictures. And at that point, I was not on Twitter. I was on Facebook only. And I started sharing pictures of my first couple of berets that I finished. To like a Bernie group, some kind of a Bernie 220 group, and just sort of posting the pictures over and over saying, when are we going to march for Medicare for all? Who has a date in mind? I don't even know who to contact for organizers, but let's start figuring this out. And nobody really answered back. Everybody would like or share it or do whatever, but nobody would sort of commit or say a date because, oh my gosh, that's overwhelming. Like, to organize is really, really overwhelming. But a nurse named Catherine Lewandowski, who is now the chair of Whole Washington, saw my Facebook posts and of the berets and sent me a personal message in Messenger and said, I really think this is a fantastic idea, because I was saying knit for nurses and the 99%, again inspired by National Nurses United. I thought if we could, you know say that we're knitting and crocheting, crafting in solidarity for nurses who, so many of whom, because of national nurses, um, fight for or organize for Medicare for all. It's not to exclude doctors or anything like that. Any healthcare practitioner, and then of course the 99%, everyone who is well aware that we are behind every other developed country in this world. So that was the idea. And she said, I would love to meet up with you or come and hear about this idea. And so she is from like Everett. Um, and so she drove down that fall, October, no, maybe it was beginning of December, November, December timeframe, just to hear about that idea. But she was already linked up as a volunteer to Whole Washington, and that's wholewashington.org. And so here we go. You can't really see. It says universal health care for Washington State. And I won't go into all of that. We can do another live feed at some point where we talk more specifically about Whole Washington. But basically, that was the beginning of putting this idea, this creative idea, into immediate action. And because this nurse, Catherine Lewandowski, I'm still to this day just like, wow, you get an idea to knit for nurses and a nurse finds you. I could kind of get teared up here. Because that's pretty profound, Of course, she found me because I'm sitting here posting pictures of knit for nurses and the 99%. But it happened to be somebody who, was working with Whole Washington. So she just said during that meeting, do you know about Whole Washington? And I said, no, I don't know. I don't really know anybody. I just want to get involved, and I want to figure, because I'm kind of waking up and realizing how broken everything is. And I've never done anything with activism before, and I don't know where to start. And so Whole Washington was the beginning. I went to my first, I brought a bunch of berets, myself and another crafter that ended up finding me. I brought a bunch of those to like a little house fundraising event for Whole Washington right before Christmas of that year of 2017. And the whole thing just kind of took off. That's how I met a bunch of, people for Bernie and Our Revolution Washington Bernie Crat Coalition, a bunch of people who all knew about Whole Washington and who were starting to organize for it. So that is how I got involved, and that's why so then in 2018, Whole Washington launched a ballot initiative to the people and we had 5 months to gather 300 qualified or 260,000 signatures to the ballot. And it was all, we were still growing the organization. We're always growing an organization, but it was all new. It was the first attempt. There wasn't any legislation yet. They had supported, okay, I'm getting very much into whole Washington. Back up. Okay. Anyway, so that, spring, winter and spring of 2018 was really a whirl of just amazingness and franticness and awesomeness. And a lot of the pictures that I still to this day share on social media are from that wonderful time of movement building. And although we did not make the ballot because we did not have the money to pay signature gatherers, almost every single successful ballot initiative does end up having, I mean, I would say 99% of them, like you have to end up paying for some of the signature gatherers. You might can do a whole bunch of it on, just volunteer grassroots alone, but that is a hell of a lot of signatures. And so and we didn't have those funds. It's enormously expensive just to pay to print the petitions and the literature. And, we were, and I say we, like I was nowhere near the core of it. I think what I provided at that moment in time for whole Washington, I shouldn't say I wasn't a core member of it. If Georgia was sitting here watching this, she'd say, "You did a lot," but I'm only comparing it with the with her and some of the people who had founded it. But what I was doing a whole lot of was sharing on social media. I was out gathering signatures, and I helped co-organize. Put together a steering committee of people to organize a rally / march in Tacoma for on National Nurses Day, in support of whole Washington's initiative I-1600. And also, so we got a whole bunch of nurses, mostly all involved in whole Washington, and then some musicians. So many people like volunteered their efforts and donated their efforts. And then we also supported grassroots uncorrupted candidates who were running for Congress, like Sarah Smith and okay, I can't name them all, but because I don't want to get too off track here, but that was like a big point in time. So that is kind of the early history of local Red Berets organizing. And what I told myself after we did not make the ballot, and somewhere in that whole realm of things, I had sent, I had mailed back still in the winter, like in January of 2018, myself and the other crafter that was right here local to me. I knit 9 and she knit 9. So we sent 18 berets to Senator Bernie Sanders' Vermont office. And that's how we got that letter of thanks back. I think his office staff took a lot of the berets, or people for Bernie ended up with some, but they did let me know that they put 2 berets on his desk. And then we got, a couple of months later, we got the letter of gratitude from Bernie. So, that was really special. And of course, I think in the moment receiving it, I was just like, is he going to come out here and support, I mean, we all expect and hope really, really big things of Bernie and his campaign and his everything. But I mean, look at what he has to do in this albatross of a nation, So we are still hoping for whole Washington to receive Senator Sanders' endorsement. And I just don't know that something like that would happen until such time that we either made the ballot when we run another initiative, or and it may not happen at all, because I understand that it's state level efforts. it's just very, very difficult to get, national support for, which then leads me to wanting to, in this first official sort of rambly Red Berets live stream, I want to especially, with deep, deep gratitude, thank Senator Nina Turner, who that same spring, a good friend that I had also met on social media. I think she lives in Alabama. She was the founder of an organization called uh, Millions for Medicare. That's it. Bev Cowling is her name. Anyway, Bev had contacted me and said, we're going to be doing an event where Senator Nina Turner is going to come speak. And then the former president of PNHP and like some other organizers, she said, if you want to mail some red berets, I'll try to, have the opportunity to give one to Nina. And I was like, what? Yes. So it's in the middle of everything, and there were some other crafters here locally that were coming into this, and Cynthia Mascora, who's from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I have a picture of her and a good friend of hers in their red berets at Bernie's 220 rally. So I just collect up all these photo receipts of people not here in just Washington State, but a few people who have been extremely supportive by knitting or crocheting berets or sharing on social media. With the Pink Hat movement, there was a large email database. I don't know. I don't know how all of it got kind of viral or shared so massively, but it's not the same thing when you're building a completely grassroots thing and letting people know, hey, we're knitting these. And so anyway, at some point it will be really good to try, but progressive independent media has a lot on their plates. There's a lot to cover. And, we'll get, that's why I'm here on YouTube doing my own channel so that I can kind of be my own voice. We're expecting a lot of our independent media to cover. And so I'm deeply grateful also for everything that they are all doing. But anyway, it really has been a labor of love to get back to my thanks for Nina Turner. So I sent these berets off to Bev Cowling, and it was, and they arrived and she did the event, and it was like the day after the event, whatever, one morning I woke up and in my messenger, there was a photo of Bev and Nina. And of course, the button looks different. It was a different design at that point, but I had put a whole Washington button on but not all. I don't think I had put a whole Washington. I didn't have that many buttons, but I had put a whole Washington button on a couple of the berets. And there, like in that picture, in the middle of the beret, smack in the middle of her forehead, Senator Nina Turner had put on a red beret with a whole Washington button on it. And I screamed. I screamed. And my husband was like, are you okay? Yeah, and then cried and all of that stuff. So that was absolutely, to have that kind of solidarity was huge. And so I am so grateful. So, right now when I see, people rightfully questioning, we should be questioning, the Democratic Party has, I can't even go there right now. I'm not going to go there. This is a celebratory live feed of me being able to figure out how to do YouTube after all this time, and I don't have too much longer to share. And then the sharing of Dr. Dooley. So there are two separate events, two kind of separate mailings. So the first one is Bev Cowling with Senator Nina Turner in like a white and black polka dot dress that she was wearing. And that's where she had on the beret with the whole Washington button. So grateful for that. That solidarity still is there for us. And we're so grateful for it. So, and then the next set of photos where we had Dr. Dooley and Dr. Victoria Dooley and Senator Nina Turner wearing all bright red and like Nina Turner wearing kind of like a beanie style cap, kind of, and then Dr. Dooling wearing the more beret style. I thought that was so cool because that picture shows people, hey, it doesn't have to be, whether that was intentional or it's just that's what kind of worked on her head. They chose two that were, because I sent kind of an array of different colors because I like to let people know that you don't need to get stuck into any one particular shade of red. I don't want anybody getting bored with a pattern. This is a very basic, nice little double, I forget what that's called, a provisional cast on. And then these labels, they're kind of all taped together. But they say Red Berets, Medicare for All, and it's got a little yarn and needles. These were made by Melissa Knott, who is a local state committee member and just organizes within the Democratic Party, but she's hella progressive, okay? And I think she's quite fed up actually at this point. But again, she's just somebody who continues to do her job, like continues to show up for people to try to make Pierce County and like her LD and basically our greater Tacoma area just a better place for human beings. So she had these labels, she made them up and delivered them to my house. So that's how grassroots it is. Somebody's like, oh, I think these hats should have labels so they look very official. I don't have a sewing machine, so I hand stitch them on, which is like, what? I'm no good at sewing, but I'm so grateful to have those labels. So in other words, I hope something that I have been able to convey during this live stream is that for all of you really crafty people out there, and I'll make an episode that is specifically dedicated to naming and thanking the crafters at Skeptic Sue or Skeptic Grandma. See, I need to write down everybody's Twitter handles or their names. There's a lot of people to thank. And Fran at Vote No GMO, she has a pinned tweet. So, if you are watching this and you're like, well, this is all great. I'd like a red beret for Medicare for All. No public option. That's not what this is. No, we're not doing that. Good, strong state level efforts for universal health care and in support of the national bills, the Senate bill and the House bill, and all grassroots candidates who are running on Medicare for All, regardless of party, if they're running in the Green Party, Progressive, Independent, Democrat, Movement for a People's Party has got people working on ballot access. I personally am I've seen quite enough to be, retweeting a lot for Movement for a People's Party because our system is broken and there's no way. We need to bust up this duopoly because now it's the Democrats, and it always has really been the Democrats that have blocked single payer, what didn't pass single payer when we had a chance and didn't even pass the public option. But I digress again. So my point is that you can make these very, very inclusive. It's just a hat and it can be whatever shade. And if you just can't wrap your mind around red because it's like whatever, I think like different shades of purple are this has a little red in it, but purple could be really nice for breaking the duopoly. It's sort of, I like symbolism a lot, right? So you're not, you can make raspberry berets. Okay. There's not any rules. Crafters can make whatever it is they want. And for that matter, people could begin crafting them for, let's get a public option. Hopefully everybody that has kind of helped with this and has seen how strong of proponents we are for, we need to get the profit motive out of our healthcare will, not be rude about it, but at least correct the record to say, actually, the founder and the founding members of this grassroots movement are very strongly for nothing less than Medicare for all. and good, strong single payer efforts at the state level. But I wanted to create some kind of fabric or show of creative solidarity to kind of help connect up good state movements and all of these different fantastic orgs that are doing the work and the voices of the 99%. Savage Joy, Joy Marie Mann, and she's Savage Joy is what most people know her as. She and Scott Desnoyers both of them shared at the People's Party or the Force the Vote town hall. And they've both been very, very strong proponents of Medicare for All. Force the Vote was not the first time that they have shared their story. So I felt it imperative to speak out very strongly with Force the Vote because I said with Red Berets, for me, what it stands for is absolutely standing up every single day and demanding Medicare for all. And what that means for me locally is that I organize with Whole Washington because that's our best opportunity. But then when the national nurses say, hey, we're going to come together and have barnstorms and support Representative Pramila Jayapal's 1384 that's being introduced. Of course, that was last, you know what I'm saying? But back at that point, it was like, of course, then we're going to organize barnstorms. And so Whole Washington and, me and my Red Berets and people that were crafting them, we put the Red Berets out in support of that effort. So my intention is creative solidarity to start bringing these people together. And that is why I was not about to take an idea that somebody had, Jimmy Dore, and say, well, I don't like how that's packaged, or I don't want, for me, it was never about the personalities. It was about an idea, and I thought it was a very good idea. Nancy Pelosi needed to be challenged. Everybody needs to be crystal clear about the fact that it's absolutely unacceptable that the leader of the House is not even a co-sponsor. I mean, she's not only not a co-sponsor, she is going to stymie those efforts every step of the way. And anyone who doubts it is just not paying attention. So for me personally, there's no way that I could pretend to be strongly for Medicare for all. I mean, I'm not a pretender. How could I be for Medicare for all and then say that it's to reelect Nancy Pelosi is in any way going to serve our movement? I understand that our elected progressives have their job to do and their things to whatever. That's not any of us as activists, as people who need health care, as people who are trying to move our country to where it needs to be. It's not our job to weigh any of that stuff. It's our job to keep asking and asking and demanding and demanding and demanding. And we can have a disagreement about how it's best to ask. I personally think we're at a point in time where, just speaking for myself, I have asked my representative, Representative Derek Kilmer. I've asked him on the phone so many times, and I've done it pleasantly and I've done it nicely. And I've said I'm a veteran for peace and I have served in countries that guarantee healthcare as a right. I've left every message you can possibly imagine, and I've done it politely and I've done it, forcefully. They aren't listening, and we all know that. So for me personally, I think challenging every elected person, progressive, not progressive, Republican, they're there to serve us, and we pay we pay our tax dollars for their salary. Naturally, they don't need our crummy tax dollars. They are not the progressives, but the overwhelming majority are funded by all of the big insurance lobby and all of that. We all know this stuff. And if you're watching this and you don't know this stuff, thank you for listening. And I hope I've said something that is a way to bring you on board instead of pushing you away. That is not my intention, but we do have to have absolute clarity that it's okay to make demands. I could make a sharp criticism of one of our elected representatives that's a progressive who's there to fight for Medicare for all. In the same day, I could make a sharp criticism if there's something that I see, like if I see access to health care or something that we know means not Medicare for all. And then if they send something out later that's on a separate issue or we see them fighting, then I can turn around and say, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's awesome. Agile. Senator Nina Turner talked about how we need to build power and our movement needs to be more agile. So that means a lot of things for me. But one of the things it means for sure is being able to make strong, clear demands, even though we like them. Gosh, and Nina Turner, that's going to be the hardest one for me probably because I do love her and she, the solidarity that she has shown when it's been so tough to get for a little one-payer state, whole Washington was huge. So and I'm a very loyal person, but so I think that, here I am tripping over my words because I know it is very, very difficult to come out and, demand or strongly criticize people that we hold dear, people that we've seen fighting for justice, so maybe there is a skillful way of doing that. And I think we need to dole out vast amounts of praise and appreciation when they get it right on the button, right? But it is a real needle to thread. And I am grateful that I don't have to thread it. I thread a darning needle and I knit berets and I organize a little bit. And okay, this is like a really long first live stream, but you can see you could have these be completely non-organization based, non-partisan. It could just say Medicare for all or the 99%, that would still be sort of associated with Bernie at this point, wouldn't it? But you can put your org on there. If you're a doctor and you are a member of PNHP, Physicians for a National Health Plan, you could put your PNHP button on there. And if you're a nurse with National Nurses United, you can wear a button for that. You could wear 2 or 3 if there's a candidate whose campaign that you're supporting because they have just been like a completely amazing community organizer and a fierce fighter for Medicare for all. You can wear their buttons. You could craft these to help, raise money for their campaign. It's a free idea, and I donate my work to Whole Washington. So that leaves me to the final point that if you want to support right now we're just really a grassroots organization. If you want to support our efforts visually and solidarity, and you'd like to support right now Whole Washington, because if you don't craft, if you do craft, then start figuring out if there is a local organization, local DSA for Medicare for all out canvassing, and you want to start crafting in solidarity for like their Medicare for all efforts, do it that way. The possibilities literally are endless. Okay, so there is some really, really exciting potential news. I was on the phone with Georgia Davenport earlier today, but I want to leave you with a cliffhanger because I don't know, it's still in the works. She was going to have a phone call, but it's for a future organizing thing, okay? And just do your best. So I want to flag up one more time, and then I'm looking at this. It's been 44 minutes, and it's a long live stream here. I'd really like to put out the call to action. And if you are in Slack, Force the Vote Slack, or any healthcare organizing things, you could share this video You could share the ask. My ask this week is please see my pinned tweet if you would like to help, if you would like to order a red beret. The efforts go directly to helping whole Washington. Um, with our state. I don't want to get into it because that's a whole other ball of wax, and I'm too over time. Who's going to watch an hour long video of somebody wearing a red beret? But no, we can talk more specifically about whole Washington in another one. But for this time, my goal for the week is to try to bring everybody in to make sure we're amplifying healthcare now on Twitter. That's at capital H, capital C, now, HC now, Healthcare Now. And they are a grassroots organization. And they've put together lots and National Nurses United are going to be speaking tonight. Last night, not representative. Never mind. It was wonderful. Dr. Dooley spoke last night. And national nurses. And it was a really wonderful kickoff to the event. And but I would really, really like to bring people that are like, we need this shit now. Nope, there's an S word. I don't know whether, but I don't think I have to worry about demonetization because I have like 6 or 2 subscribers or something. So I guess I should say hit the like and subscribe. And I'm going to try to do, 2 or 3, maybe more. We'll see. Maybe if it's really easy. They won't all be this long, though. Okay. This is a very long first live feed. So you can help Red Berets by going to wholewashington.org on their merch page. You can order buttons. You can order a union made Whole Washington t shirt. You can order Red Berets. And it's always helpful if you are willing to take a picture either on yourself or just receiving and post it on your social media platform saying, hashtag Red Berets, hashtag Whole Washington, or at Whole Washington. We're just going to try to create this movement building solidarity of bringing different organizations together. So this week, it's Healthcare Now that is bringing this conference. And I really, truly hope that there's people that are Force the Vote, who are in Force the Vote Slack, who came out really strongly for Force the Vote. Let's just come together and have some solidarity to share out all of the good information that's going to come out of this conference. Follow my Twitter feed, and I will help keep you in the loop. Okay, I have some knitting to do, and thank you for watching. And I'm going to end the live stream. All right. Happy knitting if you knit. If you want to at me on Twitter, if you've knit or crocheted something and you want me to share, that's the way that I organize and build community. And I'm really happy when people tag me with this. I'm happy to thank you and to hear any ideas that you might have for how we can kind of grow this movement. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to end the live stream now. Bye. Okay, now I'm really ending it. Bye, everyone.